with these Porter boys. Let's start
boy.
off with Michael Porter Jr., his brothers. I guess Michael Porter Jr. really didn't do anything other than just keeps knocking the hearts out of those Lakers, but we'll get into that in a minute. But his brothers, Lord have mercy. You talk about a bad week for a family. First,
Jeez.
his one brother literally destroys his basketball career.
Right.
The man was making $415,000 on a two-way contract. It was for 3 years. So 3 years. He was going to make upwards of $1 million. Some people say even $2 million he could have made with his contract. Instead, he decides, you know what? I'm going to gamble that $2 million versus $22,000 that I made gambling. Not just Chris. He didn't just gamble on other sports. He just didn't gamble on basketball. He didn't just gamble on his own team. He didn't just gamble on his team to win. He gambled on himself, prop bets, and took himself out of basketball games so he could win. This guy, unbelievable. What is going on here?
Man, I tell you what, that's insane that somebody would get off on that level of manipulation, right? I'm going to take myself in a bet and then take myself out of the game to make sure I win. Like, holy crap. But the Porter family, man, I used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard growing up, and you had the narrator on the commercial. They
Right.
got themselves in a heap of trouble. I mean, my God. But, I think Michael Porter took the right approach, and he said, look, I got a boatload more siblings and family to worry about. And I think it took the air out of the sails of some people who kind of live for the bad news. I mean, it sucks. One brother sentenced to 6 years in jail, and the other one, NBA career done forever. It's going to have to go play abroad whenever he gets out or whatever happens. But for everybody who was kind of relishing in that, he said, look, I got 13 more siblings. So it's bigger than that. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it absolutely sucks, some of the choices that family's made. But, he's been as stand up as he can be, for a guy that almost had his career ended early with some injuries. So the Porter family's been through it, absolutely through it. So.
Well, that's not even the worst of it, CC. The gambling is bad. That's awful. You wreck your career. He'll never be able to play basketball, coach basketball. He'll never be able to be a participant of any kind of any sport ever again. So all that is completely over with. But having said that, that isn't the worst thing that happened to the Porter family. His brother, Coban, he actually killed a lady a few years back in an auto accident, pled guilty, and he was sentenced on Friday to 6 years in prison. I had a blood alcohol level of 0.19, speeding, killed a lady. All this happened in the same week. I mean, look, it just obviously nobody wishes that on anybody. Horrible choices all the way around. But my goodness, for this to happen to this family in the same week, is unbelievable.
And you know how the news cycle is, right? They were living for it because it was something bad every other day from the same family, So it was crazy, the amount of attention. Michael Porter is not a superstar, and his brother is really irrelevant. But the amount of attention it got because it was an incredibly downward spiral for, killing somebody in a DUI and being convicted to ending your career. So it's a freaking shame, for the whole thing. So
it was absolutely nuts. The one thing is that, the Twitter fingers actually came to a halt. Kind of what you mentioned before, because they were giving him grief. They were giving him the blues, singing the blues about his brother Jontay throwing his career away. Was Michael Porter Jr. in on it? I mean, you know how media can be. They were giving him the blues about it, myself included. Next thing you know, all of that came to a stop when, his brother's going to jail for killing somebody. All of it stopped. That's one of the times that you could actually say, wow, the internet actually has a soul. The internet actually has, a conscience, and stop giving this guy grief about his other idiot brother who threw his career away. that was the thing that surprised me because the internet, they don't ever miss. They
No,
never miss. And on this instance, they stopped. And you haven't really heard a whole lot about Jontay Porter since then, CC.
no, you haven't. And I'm glad they gave him a break. But I think it's just because, again, the news cycle moved on. I'd love to say the internet has a heart. It doesn't. They found somebody else to prey on. You got to remember how anti J-Lo and Diddy we were just 2 weeks ago, right?
Well, I don't know that we're still not anti J-Lo, anti Diddy. I mean, there's plenty of things. That Diddy story is not going away, by the way. That's not going away. I know he wishes that it would go away and something else would come out. It's not going away. There has been nothing that has happened that has been worse than what's going. Well, I take that back. There may have been some stuff that have been worse, but nothing that has been so bad to take the attention away from Sean
that's what happened.
Puff Daddy Combs.
That's what happens when you get that big, right? Is nothing's big enough to take you off the limelight.
Yeah.
And going back to Michael Porter, like I said, thank goodness he wasn't a superstar.
Oh, it'd have been horrible.
He's a role player on the championship team, but if he was a superstar, they would have had a feast. This is 2 weeks worth of articles, right? Like Darren was talking about at the dinner table at Thanksgiving for the Porter family, we'd know every member and their whole background right now. So
yeah, well, and that's the thing. Well, first of all, think about this. He's a role player. He's got $179.6 million contract for a number 3 guy. That's the kind of contract. That's what's going on in the NBA right now. Crazy.
For a guy who cannot pass. Absolutely
can't pass, can't dribble, refuses to defend anybody. Just an absolute refusal. He's not good. To save his life, he's not going to guard you.
Not worth it. Not worth it. I'm open.
Not doing it. I got to get my shot off, though.
Yeah. Susie nailed it, though. The rap beefs, is the new news. And there are a lot of people, when we get to that are saying that's helping Diddy out. Diddy's drawing the attention for the entertainment industry away with some of these beefs. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to it, but is he? Because sooner or later, he's going to be in one of these. Somebody's going to – now, he may not fire back. Somebody's going to go at him. I think somebody's going to go at him, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be incredible. But, yeah, the Porter family, man, they went through it. It was tough. Michael Porter looks like he's coming out on the other side, though. Again, he's in the middle of the playoffs. He's a key figure in the middle of these playoffs, and he's just snatching the heart out of the Lakers' life. He's just snatching it right away from them. We'll get to that here in a minute, though. Yeah. So
there is an insane comment about him being the best third option in the league, and that's insane. I mean, in Milwaukee, it'd be Chris Middleton as your third option, right, on a healthy Milwaukee team. And then in Boston, it's Kristaps, who's playing lights out this year. So Buddy's insane. We'll leave him on that one when we get off the Michael Porter comment. That's crazy.
Again, another example. The internet, they will say anything. They'll say anything, do anything to be relevant.
Yeah, that's crazy. We'll see you later.
Bradley Beal somehow is out there playing basketball still.
Right.
They're not going to count him. Unbelievable.
I mean, I saw James Harden and Russ Westbrook cook up the other day, and I guess they don't count it.
Just cooking. Yet they don't exist. Boy, I mean,
doesn't either.
That is definition prisoner of the moment. Just because we brought up his name, what are we doing?
Man, I guess that's a young man's game. Whatever.